cryptic title of our panel, I want to thank you all for being here today. So let me begin first by a quote. I believe in getting into hot waters. It keeps you clean. This is by G.K. Chesterton. My name is Sohail Fateh-Burjani, the program chair for this year's conference in the TELPhE division. I'm currently a faculty member in mechanical engineering at Colorado State University. And it's a truly great pleasure to introduce to you, our panelists, and the program that we have in the next hour and 30 minutes. So to shed some light on what we hope to achieve in today's panel, first I would like to start by asking why this topic. As engineers, where do we stand in relation to philosophy and why this question matters? Today, how do we make sense of, on one hand, our relationship and our way of encountering with our own profession, namely engineering, and on the other hand, with the domain of inquiry and thinking of philosophy. In other words, concerning the marriage of philosophy and engineering, for instance, efforts to create philosophies of engineering and its derivative, or its forms of derivative, in the sense of ethics of engineering and so on. What have we inherited from the past, if anything at all, and what are we doing with that inheritance? So, being practitioners of modern science and technology, as soon as we concern ourselves with philosophy, we hear a rather discomforting, if not uncanny, voice telling us, I see no point in wasting time on idle challenges such as inquiry on the origin and overall goal of my field. In the face of miracles done by modern science, engineering, and technology, what need do we have of philosophy? It is as if this voice in our psyche is presuming philosophy to be mere philosophizing. The shoemaker, the taxi driver, basically everyone philosophizes. As it were, the pinnacle of scientific thought and knowledge, the original science of the whole, and the birthplace of all thoughts, requires less training and education than driving cabs and making shoes. I like actually train people to make shoes. So once again, is philosophy mere philosophizing? Does random groping and just muddling through constitutes its method? G.K. Chesterton says somewhere, without education, we are in the horrible and deadly danger of taking educated people seriously. In the same spirit, can we say that without philosophy, we are in the horrible and deadly danger of taking philosophizers seriously? While it is true that philosophy goes after anything, that is, it aims at the totality of things, beings, and leaves nothing unquestioned, but does anything goes when it comes to philosophy? If not, such an indifferent quantification, which we all are predisposed to do, where anything goes, what then philosophy is as opposed to philosophizing? For it to matter to our lives, does philosophy need again to become a way of life, an ethos, in the technological age, which is nonetheless the age of the end of philosophy? So I'm getting ready to make some steamy attacks. I hope you're ready. To be sure, if philosophy was an attempt to re-examine in a piecemeal fashion facts, statements, techniques established in and by the sake of sciences and technologies, a task that nearly all academic philosophers today have determined to be the text and spirit of their job, then such a philosophy cannot contain an ounce more in terms of new understanding, nurturing power, than those forms of meaning and understanding already ingrained in those facts, methods, and procedures of science and engineering. So philosophy cannot be merely about its object. So philosophy has also concerned its own self. If pragmatic action begins when philosophizing ends, then shall we call science and engineering unphilosophical? But that is obviously untrue. The problem then seems to be that everything we do is already has philosophy as its ground, as its building plan. But then how can we begin to do what we always already do? Since our action has a temporal structure in which we merge the present to future, does philosophy begin when we see the presence of the past in the present? Is philosophy precisely that which makes history?